Now, before getting into the actual SuccessFactors Employee Central, we'll firstly learn about cloud computing. Now, you must have heard that SuccessFactors is a cloud computing or a cloud technology application. Okay, so you must have heard maybe in the Google or people telling about the success factors as a cloud computing technology or a cloud technology. Now, what exactly is cloud technology? Why people are going for cloud? Okay, and what is the difference between on-premise and cloud computing? Okay, you can ask me any doubts if you have. You can feel free to ask me. You can ping me for any kind of doubts and the clarification. I'll be happy to answer you all. Okay, now let's look into the cloud computing. Do you does any one of you know what is cloud computing? Okay, now if you don't know, just if you look at the abbreviation of cloud computing. Okay, now it says the practice of using a network of remote servers hosted on the internet to store, manage, and process data. That means whatever the data that you're accessing, the data that you're storing or managing, everything gets stored in the remote server. Okay, now if you take an example of a mobile, now your mobile will have some storage space, right? Maybe 16 GB or 32 GB. Now, firstly, what do you need to install any application, a gaming application or a Gmail application or a Facebook or a WhatsApp? What do we need? We need the infrastructure first. That means the storage. Now, if we have that storage, now since the storage is in your mobile, you are going to install the application in your mobile, right? Now, similarly, for your cloud computing applications also, these applications need some server space for installation or for managing or for storing the data. Now, when you look at the storage of your mobile, now your mobile has got storage in your mobile. Now, similarly, you can also store some of the data in Google Drive. Now, if you take an example of Google Drive or a Gmail or a G Drive, where are we storing that data? When you subscribe or when you enroll or when you subscribe for the Gmail, you'll be getting a 10 GB or a 15 GB space of free of space. Now you can store some data, you can store your videos, you can store your photos, you can store any kind of data. Now that data, where is that getting stored? Is that getting stored in your mobile? No. Your mobile has got the internal memory of maybe 16 GB or 32 GB. Apart from this memory, you also have the drive memory where you are storing the data. Now, this data can be accessed from anywhere, not only from your mobile. You can access your G drive from your laptop, from your tablet, from your PC, or from any location. Now, that means that data that you're storing is not in your mobile, that is in the cloud. Now the same concept is being used in SuccessFactors also, or in cloud computing. Now the practice of using a network of remote servers hosted on the internet. Now how do you access your G drive? We access the G drive, or we access the data in the G drive through internet. You need to have internet to access that data. So you can store your data, you can manage your data, you can process your data. Okay, now instead of the data on your mobile, you're storing it in your drive. That's the cloud computing. The same concept is being used in cloud computing. Now the cloud computing is the delivery of different services through internet. It delivers the different services through internet. Now these resources include tools and applications like data storage or a servers, database, networking, and software. Now any application you take, be it any application, now there are three layers. Okay, now the first layer would be your infrastructure. Firstly, if we have to install any application, now as we spoke about the server or as data storage. Now, firstly, any application, if you want to install an application, firstly you need to have enough space to install that application. Okay, so what is that? That is the storage. That is the storage that you are accessing. Okay, that means the infrastructure is all about your storage of the application. Okay, so every application or any application that you want to install, be it in mobile or be it in laptop or anywhere or any software. Okay, so firstly you need the infrastructure. Now once you have the infrastructure, the second layer would be your platform. Second layer would be the platform. Now what is platform? Now if you take an example of mobiles, now we have different mobiles like Samsung, iPhone, Redmi, or Lenovo, or whatever. Anything. It can be anything. Now, if you take an example of Samsung and iPhones, now Samsung uses a different platform, and your iPhone uses a different platform. That means Samsung uses Android platform, and iPhone uses iOS platform. Now, if you look at the applications in Play Store, you'll have two types of applications. One is the applications that are developed on Android, and the applications that are developed on iOS. These are two different platforms. Now similarly, for any application, you need to have a platform to develop the application. And the third layer would be your application, where now on top of your platform, on a particular platform, you'll be developing an application. Okay, we'll be monitoring, or this application will have content. This application can be communicated, okay, or it can be any kind of application. So basically, any application that we use in mobile or in laptop, okay, uses your infrastructure, platform, and applications. Now, companies that provide cloud services enable users to store files and application on remote servers and then access all the data via internet. Okay, this means the user is not required to be in a specific place to gain access to it, allowing the user to work remotely. Now, when it comes to cloud computing or a cloud technology, now these cloud services enables the users to store the data to store the files and application on remote servers rather than keeping up them in the on-premise. Okay, now let's look at the cloud service models. Now, how many types of models that we have? Basically, we have three types of cloud service models. Firstly, we have the IaaS, second one is the PaaS, and third is the SaaS. Now, what is IaaS, what is PaaS, and what is SaaS? Now, IaaS is nothing but your infrastructure as a service, and PaaS is the platform as a service, and third service model is SaaS, which is called the software as a service. Now, what are these three service models? What do we do with these models? Okay, now if you take an example, okay, of IaaS. Now, what we generally do in IaaS? Now, here, as the name says, infrastructure as a server, as a service. Now, what happens here is the clients go only with the infrastructure. Clients only go with the infrastructure. Now, clients subscribes for the server space. Now, the example, if you take an example of AWS or a VMware, now what are these applications providing, or what are these people providing? Now, AWS, what is AWS? AWS is nothing but Amazon Web Services. Now, what are they doing? They are giving the servers storage space on lease. Okay, now they may charge they may charge for the usage, maybe in hourly or daily, or depends upon the subscription. Okay, now what they do is the clients only go with the infrastructure. They don't use anything, they just take the server space from them. Then the second service model we have is platform as a service. And what do we do here? The platform is built, the OS and the application stack, or a server storage network. Okay, now application developers need platform to develop the application. So they'll take both, clients will be taking up both the IaaS infrastructure and the platform, and they will be building their own application as per client's requirement. And the third service model that we have is the software as a service. Now here in software as a service, you get IaaS infrastructure, you get platform, and then your software as well. That means this software is pre-built. Only thing is you have to pay the license and then start using the application because it is pre-developed. Okay, now who are the target audience for this? The target audience for SaaS is the end users. End users would be using this application. Okay, now in brief, if you look at SaaS, PaaS, or IaaS, SaaS is a software as a service, a software distribution model in which a third-party provider hosts application and makes them available to customer over the internet. Now the clients will be accessing these applications or these softwares using internet. Now the examples of your SaaS can be your Salesforce, NetSuite, Concur, SuccessFactors, and so on. And then in the examples of PaaS, the platform as a service, here a model in which a third-party provider hosts application development. The platform is given to the client. Okay, so the examples can be your Google Apps Engine. Examples can be your Google Apps Engine or a Force.com. So these are all the platforms. And then you have infrastructure as a service or a IaaS, where a model in which third-party provider hosts servers, storage, and other virtualized compute resources and makes them available to customer over the internet. And again, this infrastructure is available to customers over internet. Now all of them are available only on internet. Now the examples of your IaaS can be your AWS, Amazon Web Services, or a VMware, or Microsoft Azure. Okay, so these are the examples of IaaS. Okay, now the best example, or now what is our SuccessFactors application? SuccessFactors application is a software as a service. That means this product is already built and clients subscribe for this application and they start using this application. They'll be getting the IaaS. Now the infrastructure, it depends upon again client's size. Now you may have the client, you may have 10,000 employees for a client, or 1 lakh, or a million, or a 20,000 or 30,000, depending upon the end users that are going to use the application. They may go for the infrastructure and the application. Okay, now what are the benefits of cloud computing? Why people should go for cloud computing? What are the advantages? Now every product that is sold in the market, you will have the benefits and the disadvantages, or the advantages or the disadvantages. Okay, let's see what are the benefits of cloud computing. Now firstly, the productivity anywhere. That means since you access these products anywhere, from anywhere or any corner of the world. Okay, now the purpose of using the application is solved. Now you can access your application on your mobile, on your tablet, on your PC, sitting at home, sitting at office location, or some other location. You can access these applications. The only thing that you need to access these applications are the internet. You need to have a good internet to access the application. And secondly, the off-site data storage. Now, you have on-premise applications and cloud computing applications. Now, what is on-premise? Now, in on-premise, generally the structure is same. Even the on-premise applications, they will be having the infrastructure, they will be having platform, they'll be having the software. Now, what is the difference between the infrastructure, the difference between your on-premise and the cloud computing? In on-premise, you need to have your server in the client location. Let's say I am the client, or I am I am the owner of the company. So for on-premise applications, now I need to procure a server, maybe 1 TB or a 10 TB or a 100 TB, depending upon the application size. I need to procure a server. I need to hire some people to look after that server. Okay, so a networking team or IT team, I need to have this team to look after these servers. Okay, now that is your on-premise. Whereas the cloud computing application, you don't have to procure any servers, you don't have to hire any networking administrators. Everything is taken care by the cloud services. Okay, because the storage is not happening at the location where you work. The storage is happening in the cloud. That is called off-site data storage. Okay, no IT maintenance costs. So we don't have to procure servers. We don't have to hire a team for maintaining the servers, the network administrators. Okay, third, and then you have disaster assistance. Now, when you have your servers in client location, it may happen sometimes that your servers may crash or servers may need some maintenance. Your servers may be upgraded. Okay, so you will have some downtime. Now, this thing will not happen with the cloud computing applications, and it is always up. These applications will always be running. And then the next advantage that we have is lower cost of ownership. What is lower cost of ownership? Now, since we are not procuring servers, since we are not hiring any employees for maintaining your servers, okay, obviously the cost will come down to the organization. You're just subscribing for the application, you're getting the application for what you have paid for. Now, if I pay for this application for 1 year or 2 years, I'll be using that application for 2 years. If I feel I have to upgrade again or I have to renew again, I may renew for another 2 years or 3 years. If I feel that I don't like this application, I may go with a different application. So you are not procuring servers, you are not hiring any team. And lastly, the easily upgraded. Now, any application, any software, okay, now as time goes on, you should upgrade your applications as well. Now, if you look at your mobiles, you must be receiving the notifications to update the software, be it iOS or be it Android. You must be receiving upgrades from your providers saying that your Android, your mobile has to be upgraded to so and so version. Now, what is happening here when upgrades happens? Okay, when we upgrade the software, system upgrades the applications or system upgrades the UI. Sometimes it is the UI. UI is nothing but your user interface. Maybe a change in the usage, or maybe an additional file or additional services, okay, into the product. Now, similarly, in cloud computing applications also, these service providers will be upgrading these applications. Okay, now let's take an example of SuccessFactors. Now, SuccessFactors is the product is the clients are already using the product. Okay, now these products may have some bugs, or there are some new functionality which are to be included. So SuccessFactors will be upgrading their server with the new functionalities or the existing bugs, if any. Okay, those will be fixed. Now if you have reported some issues, some of the clients or any of the clients have reported an issue, then your success factors team would be fixing that issue and upgrading it in the application. Or if it is not issue, if it is a new functionality, then they'll be upgrading the software, and it gets upgraded for all the clients who are using success factors. Okay, now what is success factors? Now we know what is cloud computing. Okay, now what is success factors? Success factors is also a cloud computing application. Now as a company, now if you look at success factors as a company, it is a leading provider of cloud-based business execution software. Okay, and then if you talk the success factors as a product, now it is a cloud-based human resource information system from SAP. Now we have a lot of products in the market. Okay, now the HRIS product. Now what is HRIS? HRIS is nothing but human resource information system. That means this application is used for employees of an organization. Now what do generally employees do with this application? Now in any organization, now if I'm an employee, I'm working for one of the company. Okay, when I join the organization, my data is taken by the HR. Now HR takes all the data from me, like my education details, my personal details, my national IDs like Aadhaar and PAN. Okay, the qualification details, all this data is collected by HR. Now, if you don't have application, what they generally do, they take scan copies or Xerox copies of all these information, and they will store it in a file or a folder. Now the same thing happens in application. When you have your application, you don't have to take any hard copies, you just maintain them in system. Okay, that system is called human resource information system, HRI system. Now success factors, okay, is one of the application in the market. It's a global product. Okay, now it is designed specifically to meet the need in enterprise class organizations. Okay, now we have various modules in success factors. Okay, when you take an organization, you have to maintain all the employees data. So you maintain this data in Employee Central. So Employee Central is the base module for success factors. That means you maintain all the master data of the employees in success factors Employee Central. Okay, now we also have other modules like performance management and goal management, where you do your appraisals, and then your compensation management, where you'll be doing your salary increases or the merit increases or the bonuses. Okay, and then you have recruitment, where you do hirings for the organizations. And then related to recruitment, we have onboarding, we have reporting, and then we have LMS, which is called learning management solutions, where if your organization has a policy of educating their employees, okay, on technical subjects or any other subjects, okay, you can do that through learning management solution. And then you have succession, you have JAM, which is a social product, and then you also have analytics is nothing but your reporting. Okay, now these are some of the modules that we have: performance and goals, compensation, succession development, recruitment, learning, JAM, workforce planning, Employee Central, workforce analytics, and reporting. Now for all these modules, we need employee data. Now if you look at performance and goals management, what do? We do the appraisals. For whom you do the appraisals? We do the appraisals for employees. Now for having the performance, you need to have employees master data. What is the employee's designation in the organization? Where is the employee working in? who is the employee reporting to. So we need all this data, and this data is maintained in Employee Central. So Employee Central is the core or the base module for SuccessFactors. Okay, and that means Employee Central would be storing all the employees data and sending this data to all the other modules. Sending the data to all the other modules. Now, what is Employee Central? We learned about Employee Central. Employee Central is a SuccessFactors solution which helps maintain employee and organizational data. Okay, now Employee Central maintains the employee information as well as the organizational information. Now, what is employees information? It can be your personal information like your first name, last name, middle name, salutation, gender, okay, the education, the national ID information. So this is all the employees' personal information as well as your organization information. Organization information is nothing but the employee working for some X company in X location, in X department. So this is on a position called manager with a salary of this. So this is all your organizational information. So this data is maintained in Employee Central. So Employee Central will manage all of an employee's life events. Life events are nothing but your transactions. What are transactions? Generally, your hiring is a transaction or an event. Okay, your promotion is an event, transfer is an event, suspension is an event, termination is an event. So all these things are taken care in Employee Central. Employee Central. So Employee Central is org chart centric, and all employees information can be found by going through the org chart. Now, employee must be reporting to a manager, and the manager must be reporting to some other manager. So this is maintained in the org chart. Okay, now when employee raises a request, let's say I'm an employee and I'm going on leave, I should inform my manager about my leave. So I should apply for a leave in the system, and manager would be approving the leave request. Okay, now similarly, if there are any other requests, so I need to inform my manager. Now who is my manager? That manager is stored in your org chart. Looking at the org chart, we'll come to know who is reporting to whom. Okay, and managers can click on quick card icon and go to employees personal and employment information, give them a promotion. Now, what can a manager do? Manager can either approve the request that I have raised, that employee has raised. Let's say an employee has raised a leave request. Manager will go and approve that request. Apart from that, manager may have to transfer the employee from one location to other location, one department to another department. Manager may have to promote the employee. Now, employee's designation is trainee. Okay, tomorrow if the employee is to be promoted to executive, that can be done by either HR or by a manager. Okay, we'll see that. Now, that's a brief about the SuccessFactors and cloud computing. Okay, do we have any questions? Feel free to ask me any kind of questions that we have discussed so far. If you don't have any questions, we'll go and see the application once. Now, what we'll be covering in this course of SuccessFactors Employee Central. Since Employee Central module is the core for SuccessFactors. Core for, it is not because I am teaching Employee Central it is important. No, it is important because it is a core module in SuccessFactors. One should have employee data in place before using it in any of the module. Okay, now how do we access SuccessFactors? SuccessFactors can be accessed through a URL. Okay, now this course, to learn this course, it takes 1 month to cover all the topics in Employee Central. And then every day we'll have 1 hour session. We'll be discussing about the topics in SuccessFactors Employee Central, and then I'll be giving you assignments to complete after this session, then you can practice, and then you can come back with your doubts if any in the next class. When we start, before starting up the session, the next session, I would be asking you for any of the doubts or clarifications that you have. We go through that. If you feel that I have to explain it again or I have to take up the session again, I will take that session again and will continue. Okay, this is how the training goes on. Everything is practical. First initial 3 or 4 sessions would be on theoretical, but from there it will be the practical. Now every day we'll be working on system on the live scenarios. I'll be providing you the complete material. You don't have to worry about, you don't have to Google anything, or you don't have to worry about the material. I will provide you all the material that is required to learn SuccessFactors Employee Central. Okay, now whatever that I teach, I'll be giving you the material as well. Now, to work on SuccessFactors, you need to be a certified consultant. Okay, so certification is mandatory for all the consultants who are willing to work on SuccessFactors. Now, what is this certification and what do we have? Okay, now I'll be explaining about certification in details in one of the session. Okay, because certification is mandatory, and there are 2 types of systems or 2 types of instances in SuccessFactors. One is called the provisioning and second is called the instance. Now the system what I've logged in is called an instance. Now I'll be giving you the access for this instance. Okay, and then the second would be your provisioning, and I will not be giving you access for this provisioning. Okay, but you need to have an understanding of the provisioning as well. You need to know about the provisioning. What is provisioning and what do we do in provisioning? Now, initial 10% of your configuration is done in provisioning. That means you enable all the functionalities required in provisioning. Once you do that in provisioning, you would see the functionalities or the configurations here in instance. Now, we'll have a detailed session on provisioning and instances. Now how to access it, how do you get access for provisioning. Okay, only the certified consultants will have access to provisioning. I am certified. Now I'll be given access of provisioning with my certification ID. Okay, so it is not advisable, or it cannot be given for all the persons who are getting trained in SuccessFactors. Now you'll get access to this instance, but not for the provisioning. However, I'll be showing you how to log into the provisioning, what are the functionalities in provisioning, what we do in provisioning. Okay, only the 10% of the configuration, the initial configuration, is done in provisioning. Okay, now who are the target audience? Now you must have got a doubt. Okay, who can learn SuccessFactors? Anybody, okay, who want to be or who want to get into SuccessFactors, okay, now can do this course. There is no prerequisite for this. Only thing that required is an understanding of the HR processes. Okay, so education can be anything, like maybe a degree or a BTech or an MBA or a postgraduate, whatever the postgraduate. Okay, so you can be it can be for anybody. There's nothing like you need to be an engineer or you need to have a background of BTech with electronics or electrical. So it is not like that. So anybody can do this course, but you should have an understanding of your HR processes. Okay, now the other products like SAP or Oracle, okay, you will have different roles, like a technical consultant or a functional consultant or a workflow consultant. Okay, now you don't have these many roles in SuccessFactors. We only have one role called functional consultant who will be handling all these things. Now whatever the customization that has to be done in the product, that is done by functional consultants. In SAP, generally, you have ABAP or technical consultant who would be customizing or who would be developing the screens or developing the objects in system. But here in SuccessFactors, the functional consultant will be handling that role as well. We don't have separate workflow consultants. We don't have separate basis consultant to look after the servers. Okay, we only have one role called functional consultant, and each consultant will be a module specific. Now that means if we have Employee Central will have 2 or 3 consultants, and then PMGM, you'll have one consultant. Compensation, you'll have one consultant. LMS, you'll have one consultant. Depending upon the size of the organization, size of the client, you may have 1 or 2 consultants in each module. Okay, that's about the role of a consultant in SuccessFactors. Okay, we'll have only one role. Now, maybe you have one more role called the integration consultant. Okay, who would be looking after the integration or interfaces between the SuccessFactors and the legacy system or any other system which is being used by the client. Okay, now I have I'm a client and I'm using SuccessFactors, and backend I have one more system, SAP or any other system, where I'll be using some other modules. Since SuccessFactors is a HRS product, I'm using finance, FICO in SAP, or a material management, or a sales SD. So I'm using some other modules in SAP. Now I can integrate SuccessFactors with any other application, be it SAP or Oracle or any other application. It can be integrated with the other products. Now for this integration, you need to have an integration consultant like Dell Boomi consultant or a HCI consultant. Okay, now this is your login page of the application. Now you can do, it is a very easy to understand, easy to configure. Now you must have got doubt, what is when the product is already built. I've told you that software as a service in SaaS, the product is already built. Now, what will we do as a consultant? What will we do for the client? It is already built. Now the system is built keeping in mind for all the clients across the globe, and every client's requirement is different from others. Okay, now SuccessFactors has given a provision of creating a department. Now it is up to the client what departments they have. Now one client has got 10 departments, like your sales, production, finance, okay, HR admin, payroll, recruitment. Like this we have 10 departments. Now I have one more client who has got only 5 departments. So you don't have to create all those departments that are created for that company. So it depends upon your client's requirement, what departments are to be configured, what companies are to be configured, whether if they want to use the position, okay, what are the positions or what are the designations. They want to use time off, they want to use payroll. Okay, so all these things need to be configured. Now system has got the feasibility of adding all this data. Now I'll say I'm a client and I want to have dependent data, I want to have education data, I want to have qualification data, or I want to have national IDs. So client B may say that I'm not bothered about employees dependent information, or I am not bothered about employees education or qualification details in system. So we don't have to configure all those things for that client. So these things are done by functional consultants. Now every client want to have the application in their own theme. Now I want to have my logo at the right hand side top corner, right hand side corner, or my client want to have logo on this side, or client want to have the logo in middle. Okay, client want to have this color, the red as the color, or some pictures on the screens. So all these things can be configured by consultants. Now, it is very easy to configure. You have a global search bar here. You can search for any navigation or for any employee. So I'll be taking you through all these things, okay, in detail. What can we do in system? How do we do that in system? Now, if you look at the course content, what will be covered as part of Employee Central training in this 30 days? Okay, we have the basics of cloud computing and basics of success factors. What is the role of professional consultant? What is the role of a professional success factors consultant? And then you have the methodology. Every application that is developed, that is configured, or that is implemented for the client will go through some methodology. Now, what is that methodology that we follow for success factors implementation? Okay, and what are the steps to be taken care while doing the implementation? And now we have several URLs which would be using in our daily life. Okay, so what are those URLs? Okay, what is upgrades? Okay, what are the upgrades that happens in system? How often are the upgrades happen in system? So how do these upgrades happen in system? So we'll discuss about these things. And then your success factors terminology, slowly we'll be moving into success factors terminology, like your instance, provisioning, or org chart, position, org chart, manage data. So what are these terms or the terminology? Okay, and then your implementation sequence. Now there is a sequence to be followed while implementing the success factors, and it is recommended by success factors. So we look at the sequence. And then introduction to your instance, your provisioning. Okay, what do we do in instance? What do we do in provisioning? Okay, what settings are done in provisioning? Now, when every user will be given a password and the user ID. Now, the password, some clients say that in my for my employees, the password should contain alphabets. Password should contain alphanumericals, or password should contain a special characters. Now these settings can also be done in success factors. Okay, and then your manage action search, where you can search for your employees, where you can search for the navigations, configurations. So how do we do that? Okay, you can set up the now let's say if you're going to use this navigation every day, you can set up that navigation as your favorites. So how do you set up your favorites? How to access your favorites? Okay, and then when once you got used to the system, now you have a data model. We have a concept called data models, which are in the XML language. Now you don't have to write thousands or hundreds of lines of code, but you need to understand what is there in the data models. So we have basically we have 7 data models, but currently we have only 4 data models in system. We'll see each of the data model. What are those data models, and how are they used in Employee Central? Okay, so I'll give you a good understanding of XML. Don't worry, at the end of the session, at the end of the training, you'll be able to change the XMLs on your own. Don't worry about that. Okay, and then we have foundation objects, and then MDF objects, and the generic objects. Now foundation objects are nothing but your objects that are required to build up the organization structure. You need a company, you need a location, you need divisions, you need departments. So all these things are called, all these objects are called foundation objects or MDF objects. So how do you configure them? How do you create them? How do you maintain them? Now, personalizing the instance means, now if your client want to have their own theme in the system, so everybody uses the same application, but your client want to have the system to have it in their own way, or in the own color or the theme. So you can have the theme or logos, okay, as per your client's requirement. Okay, And then your introduction to org chart. Now how the org chart is maintained. Now if you look at the system, you can go to the org chart and see how an org chart looks like, how which employee is reporting to whom. Okay, you can see the entire org chart of the organization. This employee is reporting to Charles Brown. Okay, of all these employees are reporting to Christine, and these are the employees reporting to Michael. So this is the org chart. Now what is org chart? How do you configure this org chart? Okay, you can take this printout, okay, or you can take a soft copy of it using PDF or JPEGs. Okay, so what is org chart? How do you configure org chart? And we also have position org chart. You can also see similarly the position org chart. So how is this position org chart configured? What all objects are used in position org chart? Okay, all these things can be. How do you create positions? How do you create lower level positions? How do you create peer positions? All these things can be seen. And then you have import. Now if you have only little configuration or little data to be maintained, then you can manage through manual feeding of data. But when you have thousands of records to be updated in system, or bulk data to be loaded into the system, then we have a concept called import and export. Either you can export the data that you have in system into Excels, or you can import bulk data into system. Now I have 20,000 employees to be loaded into system initially. I can do that using Excel. So we'll see how to import or how to export employee data. Okay, and then how do you add employee? If you have workflows, like when you're transferring the employee, you should have some approval process. You should go through some approval process, like first level manager should approve, second level HR should approve, third level finance should approve. Okay, how these workflows are configured. Okay, and what is employee self-service, what is manager self-service? Generally, if it is employee self-service, now employee logs into the system, what an employee can see in the system, what an employee can do in the system. Employee can look at his own information, employee can edit some of his own information, and employee can only see some information. Like pay slips, employee can only see. Like the salary details, employee can only see his own data, but he cannot edit, he or she cannot edit his own data or some others data. What can a manager do? Manager can, apart from this, the activities performed by employee, since manager is also an employee of the organization, manager has got some additional responsibilities or additional permissions. It means he has to approve the request, he has to request the transfers, he has to promote the employees. So these are all covered in managed self-service. And then you have data change workflow. So how do you change the data of the employees? And if you have approval process, how to take care of that approval process. Okay, and then you have role-based permissions, which is very important in Employee Central. Now what is role-based permission? As per role, you will be given some permissions. Now I an employee, I'll have some permissions. Okay, I can only see others data, other employees data. I can not edit employees data. I can edit my own data, I can view my data, but I cannot edit others. So that is covered in RBP. Okay, as an employee, I can do this. Now as a manager, I may have some additional permissions. As a HR, I'll have some additional permissions. So all these things are covered in RBPs. Okay, and then finally we have a pick list management, where you maintain all the pick lists. Like if you go to salutation, you'll have Mr., Mrs., okay, Miss, okay, so on. So these are all in drop down. So how do you maintain them? Or if you go to education, you will see in the drop down 10th class, intermediate, or masters, PG, or BTech. Okay, so these are all called drop downs, and these can be maintained in pick list. So how do you maintain that? Okay, that covers the pick list management. And then your reports. Okay, if you have to pull out reports from system, how do we do that? How do you create new reports? How do you share it with others? How do you extract files from system? In what mode do you extract the data? So All these things are covered as part of the Employee Central